So what do you think that made Remessa the most successful project out of the 5 ones that you guys were launching? If you had to look back and think about, and you have, and there could be internal circumstances as well as exogenous circumstances from the market itself, and timing, right? Like in our world, timing matters a lot.
Yeah, I think it's always a combination. It's like when we look at the relative aspects, it looks like I'm like I don't want to create this like comparison, but I think Remessa what had was it was a huge market, and nobody was addressing that pain point. So that's the first aspect, so huge market. But also, Pavani, the founder and CEO, he was very aware of the pain point. He had some previous experience with the financial aspects, but also developing. So he understood about product. He was very, and he is very driven. Like works a lot, workaholic to solve that problem. So I think that was something that helped a lot. And I think we've been able to make the right decisions from the beginning in some very complicated choices. So from the beginning, when we started, Pedro, before Remessa Online, the product was Bicambio. So we were working like the MVP was working with paper money, delivering this money for people who was going to travel.
And what is Remessa Online,
right?
For those that are listening and don't know?
Remessa Online today is one of the largest platform for international transfers in Brazil. So we help companies and individuals in Brazil to transfer money abroad or receive money from abroad. So make international payments. With this is the functional aspect, but what we are doing is actually enabling those individuals and companies to have a global life. So we enable an individual to invest abroad, to pay for services from abroad, to travel, to pay for college, to pay for rent, to receive from investments, to sell their SOPs. If you have SOPs in startups, you can sell them using Remessa Online to receive your money from abroad. Most of the companies are, of course, structured abroad. And then what we do for businesses is help the businesses to become global. So we allow businesses in Brazil to export services. So if you have a small company, you want to access a global market, receiving dollars or receiving euros, you can use Remessa Online to issue your invoice and receive the payments. And also, if you're paying for an import, if you want to import something from abroad, you can also use Remessa Online. If you're receiving money from a venture capital, you're a startup, you can use Remessa Online. So there's a lot of frictions into this process of doing a global transaction, both sending money out abroad, also receiving money abroad. So what Remessa Online is doing is removing those frictions, so creating a full digital process, but at the same time focusing in the experience to the final customer. So our customers, they are able to do that online. They're able to do that in an easy process, like kind of like self-service process, and pay much less than what they would pay to traditional financial institutions to do these transactions. So when we look at this whole solution, it seems, okay, it's easier just moving money away, but there is a lot of infrastructure, and there was a lot that was invested into the process of like understanding the pain point and solving that with technology. And that's where, I think the biggest difference when you ask what went right, we were able to, when we started, we could grow much faster if we were just focusing in acquiring customers. And then I'm going to, have this average experience, and then maybe later, I'll be able to change the process. So we wanted to do both. So we focused from the beginning in understanding the pain point and investing in digitalizing the process.
As a customer, I must say with Atman and previously as well with One VC, I love the product. It's great. It works really well, and we continue to recommend it to all of our
Appreciate it.
investors or anyone that wants to move money around. And and I mean that it is a very it
Appreciate it.
works really well. And
I know, I
yes,
know.
and you have great customer support as well, which is so important. I think that people don't realize, right? Like just or they do, right? Like when you really want to move money around the world, how slow it is, and it's this hidden process, as if kind of like you send an international wire. I wonder if there's just like a room full of people, like the old like telephone connectors connecting these wires to make sure what the fuck happens, because it's just like sometimes it takes a long time, and people are like, "Oh, give me the Swift code. Let me trace the wires." It's such an antiquated process. It's crazy.
It is, yes, and that's what we're trying to do. We want to be able to do global business one click away. So you don't want to know what's happening. You just want to be able to move your money, to receive your payment uh, with one click. But you have to solve all the, of course, not only the infrastructure part, but there's a lot of compliance, a lot of KYC. You have to do that by not only uh, 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 facilitating the process, but doing that in accordance with the regulation. So that's what we've spent a lot of time in understanding on how we could
Yes.
improve the process to be more secure than the traditional process. Instead of asking for specific documentation, can we validate that online? Can we check for inconsistencies? Can we be safer than the traditional way, but still be better? And there was a lot of effort in doing that, and I think that's what makes us very different in the market, because we gained a lot of expertise in how to actually be able to translate the complications in the regulatory environment to a simple process, but we do all the checks, we comply with all of them. And I do respect those companies that look for a solution that they want to just go around the legislation, or they want to just not, they're just looking for other ways of facilitating the process. And there is, of course, there's merit in that, and most of times they are able to even change the process, the regulatory process, because they found out an easier way. And we do that as well, that we can, when we find something that doesn't make sense to be asked for, and then we can do it safer and still complying with the regulatory part by doing it with a new process, and then we suggest that to the regulator to improve the process as well. But what made the difference for us, I think, was a lot of the focus in we want our customers to be happy, so we did a lot for the customers. Back in the days when we were delivering money, there's like funny stories about how even like some people know Pavani personally because of the deliveries that he did, because there was a problem with the broker firm that was responsible for doing the deliver, and actually Pavani and Stefano back then, there were a couple of times that they would receive the money and they would like deliver by themselves to all the customers, in order to the customer, even going to the airport. There's a story that this our customer was going to travel, and then when he reached, he the delivery was missed by the brokerage firm, so he was going to the airport, and he was not going to have the money for his trip. So we got Stefano. Stefano hiked on a motorbike from one of those like delivery guys, paid the guy to take him to the airport, and then he went, by motorcycle to the airport to deliver the money to the customer, so that the customer could fly and have his money. So, and because of that, back then it looks like those small stories, but back then there was a problem, specifically in that week, that people were not able to deliver. So a lot of our competitors, so when you create something new, there was all these websites that were offering, like 6 months after we started, they were offering the same experience. Oh, okay, we want to be able to do that. But from the beginning, we were applying a lot of technology to facilitate the process, but also a lot of focus in customer service. So there was this turning point where we've created something that was unique. People are like, okay, this is the best service that you have. And then the decisions we made, like, okay, the international transfer market is huge. So that's when we're going to focus. The individuals, they want a simple process. So we've took risks to invest in enabling more functionalities, enabling better experience, even though there was a lot of traction going on this side of the business, that we wanted to be able to move to this whole functional aspects of international transfer. So there's, I think, a few times in our stories that we made this decision, as we did now with the B2B, and that made the whole difference for us to be.
That's great. There's a lot to unpack there, but I love the story of, I think every good company, you always have these crazy doing things that don't scale type of stories. Do you still deliver cash today for folks? Like, no, not anymore, right?
No.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah, good.